The Chernobyl Exclusion Zone. What lives there now is stranger than the disaster itself. On April 26, 1986, reactor number 4 at the Chernobyl nuclear power plant in northern Ukraine exploded during a botched safety test. The explosion and subsequent fire released approximately 400 times the radiation of the Hiroshima bomb into the atmosphere, contaminating an area extending across the Soviet Union and into Europe. The immediate death toll was relatively small, 31 deaths directly attributed to the disaster, but the health consequences over subsequent decades have been significant and contested. The entire area within 30 kilometers of the plant was evacuated. Approximately 350,000 people left. The city of Pripyat, home to the plant's workers, was abandoned overnight. Immediately after the evacuation, the exclusion zone showed the expected effects of acute radiation exposure. Trees in the areas of highest radiation density turned red and died. The red forest, still visible today, marks the area of most intense early contamination. Small animals and soil organisms died in the highest contamination areas. The landscape in the first years after the disaster was genuinely damaged, an ecosystem disrupted by an enormous pulse of ionizing radiation. Scientists expected long-term effects proportional to the acute damage. What they found over the following decades was more complicated. By the late 1990s and early 2000s, scientists studying the exclusion zone began reporting unexpected findings. Large mammal populations were not just surviving, they were thriving. Wolves, bears, lynx, deer, wild boar, and European bison had moved into the zone in numbers not seen in the region for decades. The reason was the removal of the most damaging organism in the ecosystem, humans. Without hunting, without agricultural development, without road traffic, the remaining wildlife, even in an area with elevated radiation, did better than wildlife in adjacent human-occupied areas. The Przuwalski's horse, the world's only truly wild horse species, extinct in the wild by 1969, was introduced to the exclusion zone in 1998 as a rewilding experiment. The horses have established a self-sustaining population and now number over 100. They are thriving in the exclusion zone while their relatives in other rewilding programs struggle with human encroachment. The horse's success is ironic. A radiation-contaminated exclusion zone has become a safer habitat for the world's rarest horse than most protected areas on Earth. The individual organisms living in the exclusion zone show radiation effects. Studies have found elevated mutation rates in some species, smaller brain sizes in barn swallows, cataracts in birds, and reduced fertility in some populations near the highest contamination areas. Tree growth near the reactor is abnormal. Some fungi and plants appear to have adapted to use radiation as an energy source, or to tolerate levels that would be lethal to most organisms. The picture at the individual level is of genuine damage, mutations, reduced fitness, developmental abnormalities. The tension between individual-level damage and population-level recovery is the central scientific puzzle of the Chernobyl Exclusion Zone. Animals are being harmed by radiation at the individual level. Populations are recovering and thriving at the community level. The explanation appears to be that the removal of human pressure, hunting, habitat destruction, road mortality, more than compensates for the radiation-caused reduction in individual fitness. The lesson appears to be that for large mammals, humans are more dangerous than a nuclear disaster. Pripyat, the abandoned city of the nuclear workers, is the most photographed aspect of the exclusion zone. Its abandoned buildings, overgrown amusement park, and nature-acclaimed streets have become icons of environmental disaster and human absence. The imagery of Pripyat has influenced art, architecture, video games, and film. It is a vision of a world after humans, not dead, but re-inhabited, rearranged by time and growth into something that feels alien and beautiful simultaneously. Pripyat is a documentary of what happens to human construction when we leave, and nature decides what to do with it. Chernobyl is simultaneously a monument to human failure, a radiation-contaminated exclusion zone, and one of the most remarkable wildlife refuges in Europe. The wolves thrive in the abandoned human settlements. The wild horses graze in fields no farmer has touched for 38 years. The radiation is still there. It will be there for centuries. And yet life, as it turns out, is more resilient than the disaster. The most dangerous thing in the Chernobyl ecosystem was not the reactor. It was us. Our absence has created a sanctuary that no conservation program could have planned.